Guys, Boxing Gossip here. I wanted to do a video on Joseph Parker versus Hughie Fury. Now, I've already discussed my thoughts on what would happen if this fight went live. We also discussed some of the updates surrounding it on our podcast last night. But I wanted to give it a separate video because it seems that this fight is looming. It seems that it's very close. And a lot of the rumours in UK boxing is the fight is due to be announced very, very shortly. And it's most likely due to be announced in Manchester in the UK to take place in April. There's nothing confirmed. I can't give you guys a source that says that this fight is definitely happening or this fight is definitely going in Manchester. But let's put it this way, there's a lot of talk, rumours are rife. If you look at Peter Fury's Twitter page, as of yesterday he had a tweet up even saying that a press conference would hopefully be sooner rather than later. I'm going to read you guys an article that is from the worldboxingnews.net website. And it's dated 19th of January 2017. The article's headline is Exclusive. Peter Fury confirms Hughie versus Joe Parker talks once April UK clash. The article says a massive WBO heavyweight title shot in the UK is being worked on by Team Fury and reigning champion Joseph Parker's handlers at JUCO events, WBN has been informed. It goes on to say, Peter Fury is attempting to seal the championship chance for son Hughie against Parker after the Briton was named mandatory challenger by the WBO. David Hayes' decision to fight Tony Bellew left Hughie in pole position to fight Parker on the back of the New Zealander defeating Andy Ruiz Jr. to claim the coveted belt in December. Here comes a quote from Peter Fury. We're working on the Joseph Parker fight as we speak and we will hopefully have news very, very soon. We are looking at a date in April and trying to make the fight here in the UK if possible. So yeah, it certainly seems that talks are ongoing. There seems to have been a bit of a debate as to who the WBO mandatory actually was. As I've long said on this channel, I've always been sceptical about that Joseph Parker versus Deontay Wilder fight. I know a lot of New Zealand fans in particular have been of the opinion that Joe Parker could potentially have a unification fight with Deontay Wilder. But from my perspective, that's always been a bit far-fetched. You know, Deontay Wilder has a fight already in the diary. Hughie Fury has the mandatory position, and you know, I'm not so sure that Joseph Parker versus Deontay Wilder unification was ever the route that Team Deontay Wilder ever wanted to go down. So, as I suspected, it looks like this fight may actually occur. And if rumours are to be believed, it seems that the fight is headed towards the UK. Now, I genuinely believe that's a very, very relevant bit of information if confirmed. You know, I think that's a very relevant bit of information. You're dealing with two guys here who, as far as I'm aware, in their professional careers, have never even been knocked down. You're dealing with two guys who have routinely went the distance in fights. You know, if we look at Joe Parker against Takam, against Andy Ruiz, he's gone the 12-round distance. I know Parker's shown a lot of power earlier on in his professional career, but as he's stepped up in levels and as he's moved into fighting, you know, the higher class of opponents, we've seen guys being able to take him 12 rounds. Hughie Fury is a guy who possibly lacks the power of a Joseph Parker. You know, he's someone who routinely goes late in fights, and we could well be seeing this being a 12-round fight. These are both guys who, for me, are at their best when they're boxing from the outside, when they're jabbing, when they're moving. I don't think it suits either guy's styles to get involved into a massive brawl and to get involved into a slugfest. What I'm getting at is you've got two guys who have never given us any concerns for their punch resistance and durability. You've got two guys who are used to going the distance in fights. And you've got two guys who stylistically are probably going to box from the outside and play a bit of chess. So I think that this fight could well go the 12-round distance. I really do. I know a lot of Kiwi fans think that Hughie Fury could get blown away by Joseph Parker because he lacks power. And I know a lot of Kiwi fans think that this is simply too big a step up for Hughie Fury, as he hasn't fought anyone of Joseph Parker's calibre before. But mark my words, I'm someone who's been watching Hughie Fury since even before he turned pro, and this guy has class in abundance, and sometimes it isn't always the hardest puncher who wins the fight. Sometimes it isn't always the most natural athlete who wins the fight. And if you want an example of that, look no further than the Fury family. Look at Tyson Fury and how he took on a guy in Vladimir Klitschko who was a harder puncher than him, a more athletic guy than him. And you know, those skills paid the bills in the end of the day. So don't underestimate Hughie Fury. For me, the fact that it's coming here to the UK potentially is a very, very big win for Team Fury. If you look at Joe Parker's last fights, I personally slightly edged to Joe Parker in both the Carlos Takam and Andy Ruiz fights. So what I'm saying is, in my opinion, actually the decision was right in both of those fights. You know, I firmly believe that Parker just about edged both of those matchups, and I would have scored him the win. But let's be honest, as you guys know, there was a lot of controversy regarding both of those fights. There's several camps out there who believe that the Takam fight and the Ruiz fight should have at least been a draw, and there's actually several camps out there who think that Parker deserved to lose one or even both of those fights. I know Hughie Fury himself has said that he believes Andy Ruiz deserved to win the last fight. So, you know, whilst I personally disagree with that analysis, Parker's fought twice in very, very close, controversial fights in front of his New Zealand crowd on his own promoter show, and both times he's edged the decisions. You know, these are the kind of things that tend to go your way when you're fighting at home, when you're fighting on your promoter's show, when you're fighting you know, in front of your home crowd, and every time you land a punch, your crowd are going mental. These are the kind of things that stick with judges when they're scoring rounds. So it's going to be very, very different for Joseph Parker coming to the UK. And potentially, when Joe Parker lands a punch, the crowd will be silent. Yet when Hughie Fury lands a punch, the crowd will be going mental. And you know, that element to how judges score fights, it's that subconscious factor that, you know, as a judge, you maybe take more note of a punch when the crowd is going wild off the back of it. That's something that Hughie Fury and Joseph Parker will both be aware of in having this fight in the UK. Do you know, on the way up, when I was doing videos covering Joseph Parker, I long said he needed to get out of New Zealand, and I long said it would have been to his benefit to have experience of fighting on the road and maybe fighting on undercards in the UK, maybe fighting on undercards in the US, and, you know, his promoters didn't do that. And to be fair, it's worked out fairly well for them. They got him to a world champion. They actually got him to be a world champion sooner than I anticipated he'd get to be a world champion. So, you know, I'm not saying that their plan was ill thought out and that their plan was wrong. But what I am saying is that that was a decision that they made, and now he's going to be travelling away for his first defence of his title, if rumours are to be believed, and he's going to be coming over to the UK. So yeah, very, very exciting news. You know, as I said, there's already a video up on my channel regarding how I think that fight's going to go. So if you want to hear more analysis on that, I don't have the link to hand because I'm doing this on my mobile, but if you type into the YouTube search bar Hughie Fury, Joseph Parker, boxing gossip, I'm sure it will come up. It was a 20-minute video. It got something like 5,000 views on it, so you'll be able to find it relatively easy. But what I will say in this video is that this is a truly, truly great fight. Two undefeated fighters, for my money, arguably the two top prospects in world boxing. And I know, sorry, in heavyweight world boxing. And I know that's, I don't want to be dismissive of Joseph Parker by calling him a prospect, 'cause I know he's already a world champion. But what I mean by that is he's a very young guy. He's still very young in his heavyweight career. And he's still not had too many fights. But for those sort of characters, you know, the guys who are below 25, 26 years old, below 25 pro fights, these two for me are about as good as it gets. And whoever you think's going to win this fight, this is a truly, truly exciting fight. This is a 50-50 matchup. This is a great fight. And for me, this is a fight for the boxing purist. This isn't a fight that's going to go global. This isn't a fight that's necessarily going to grab the headlines. It's not necessarily a fight that's going to end up in a devastating knockout. If you're a true boxing fan, if you appreciate the craft of boxing, if you appreciate the jab and move game, if you appreciate hand speed, head movement, you know, angles, technical ability, this is a fight for me that's really, really going to get the juices flowing. So I'm very, very much looking forward to it. I'm hoping it is confirmed for the UK. I'd love to see Parker here. I'd love to see Hughie Fury fight for the world title over here. And let me say, if this fight is in April, what a start to 2017 we have in boxing. You know, you've already got, you've already had James DeGale, Badu Jack, you've already had Gervonta Davis. Just looking ahead at the stuff going on in the UK, you've got Joshua Klitschko. You've potentially got Hughie Fury versus Joseph Parker. You've got Crowley Linares, the rematch. David Hay versus Tony Bellew, and all sorts of stuff going on internationally in the sport, which we already know about. So boxing's buzzing right now, and hopefully we'll have a big fight announcement in the next week on this one. Let me know your thoughts. If you're a Kiwi fan, what is your thoughts on Parker coming to the UK? Do you see that as a negative for Joe Parker's chances? Do you think his promoters should have given him experience of fighting away from home previously? Do you agree with me that potentially in a fight like this that could go the distance, it's you know, having home advantage is a big factor? Let me know your thoughts. Leave your comments in the section below, and if you've enjoyed this video, take the time to hit the thumbs up button. I'd massively appreciate that. If you're new to the channel and haven't done so before, please subscribe. We will certainly be covering this fight all the way through, from it being announced to the pre-fight build-up, to the weigh-in, to the press conference. It's going to be a great fight to look forward to. Let's hope it gets made and confirmed very soon. So hit the subscribe button. Thanks very much for watching, guys.